Anyone who has ever, attempted to learn a new language knows that, well, that profound, almost physical pain of textbook English.
Oh, man. The absolute worst.
Right. You spend months, maybe even years, meticulously memorizing these perfectly engineered sentences. Like, hello, how are you? I am fine, thank you. The weather is pleasant today.
Right. It feels like linguistic architecture.
Yeah.
Every noun, every verb, it's load bearing and perfectly placed.
Exactly. But then you actually step off a plane. Or, I don't know, you walk into a crowded coffee shop in a new country, and the reality just hits you immediately. Absolutely nobody talks like that.
Yeah, it is a bizarre paradox, honestly. You're perfectly grammatically correct, and yet you are entirely divorced from reality.
Completely.
We cling to the safety of the textbook because it's predictable, right? But real human communication is, well, it's messy. It's fast, it's highly contextual, and it's built entirely on these idioms and phrasal verbs that make literally zero sense if you just look them up in a dictionary.
And that disconnect is exactly what we are solving today. So, welcome back to today's deep dive.
Glad to be here as always.
Today, we are unpacking a genuinely fantastic English learning guide from our stack. It's titled Mastering the Lexicon of Daily Routine.
Such a good piece of material.
It really is. And our mission for this deep dive is to basically rescue you from that stiff, robotic textbook English. We're going to explore how native speakers actually describe the flow of their daily lives using that natural, lived-in phrasing.
Yeah, tracking a typical day from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep.
Okay, let's unpack this because mastering a language isn't just about, debating complex philosophy or delivering this pristine business presentation.
No, not at all. Which is such a crucial exercise for anyone listening right now. The true litmus test of fluency is whether you can seamlessly describe the mundane, incredibly ordinary moments of your day.
The boring stuff, right?
Exactly. If you can't explain how tired you are or, how you make your breakfast, all that high-level vocabulary doesn't actually help you connect with people.
Yeah, let's jump right into the material because the guide makes this brilliant connection right out of the gate. It basically argues that how we talk about our routines is intrinsically tied to how we actually acquire a language.
Because routine is, by definition, repetition.
Right, and repetition is the engine of fluency. When you learn the vocabulary of your daily routine, you are essentially building a custom-made language laboratory that you walk through it every single day.
You're living the vocabulary. But to truly understand this, we have to start at the beginning of the day. And the source acknowledges right away that everyone's day starts differently, dictated entirely by their own internal biology.
Oh, the classic biological divide. Larks and owls.
Right. There is this sharp linguistic line drawn between the morning person and the night owl. What's fascinating here is how the language literally mirrors that energy.
I happen to be the type who wakes up super energized, so I completely relate to the early riser phrases. The guide highlights waking up at the crack of dawn.
A very aggressive phrase, if you ask me.
I love it. And then there's the universal struggle to avoid hitting the snooze button. After that, the necessity to freshen up and the inevitable rush out the door where you just try to grab a quick bite.
Notice the physicality of those phrases, though. Crack of dawn sounds sharp, right? It's abrupt, like a literal break in the sky.
Yeah, snaps you awake.
Exactly. And hit the snooze button is this blunt, often aggressive physical action. Then grab a quick bite implies a hurried, almost desperate snatching of food.
It paints a very vivid picture. And looking at this through the lens of a morning person versus a night owl, to me, it's like we're all walking around running on entirely different operating systems.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right. So a morning person wakes up at the crack of dawn and their OS boots up instantly. All the apps are loaded, the screen is bright, they're ready to execute tasks right away.
Must be nice.
It is. But a night owl, when they're forced to wake up early, they're essentially a computer with a spinning loading wheel of death.
Yep, that is me, 100%.
Hitting the snooze button is just buying time for the background processes to finally load. So I have to ask you listening right now, which operating system are you running on? Are you the instant boot up or are you the spinning wheel?
Oh, I am undeniably the spinning wheel, completely dependent on about 3 cups of coffee just to render my mental desktop,
Just to get the icons to show up.
Exactly. But underlying these phrases is a really powerful cognitive strategy that the guide points out. Tying language to these specific morning routines taps into a concept called embodied cognition.
Embodied cognition. Okay, let me see if I can translate that. Is that the idea that our brains and bodies aren't actually separate silos?
Yeah, pretty much.
So if I'm trying to learn a new word, just staring at it on a flashcard is highly inefficient because my body isn't involved at all. But if I learn the phrase hit the snooze button and I practice saying it in my head at the exact physical moment, my hand slams down on the alarm clock.
Your brain links it.
Right. My brain links the English vocabulary to the actual muscle movement and the feeling of that plastic button.
You nailed it. That physical sensation acts as an anchor. When you look at a list of words on a piece of paper, your brain has to work incredibly hard to encode them into long-term memory.
It's just abstract data.
Exactly. But if you splash cold water on your face and think, I need to freshen up, the language sticks because it is married to a lived sensory experience.
Oh, wow.
The shock of the cold water literally becomes part of the vocabulary word. It bypasses the purely academic part of your brain and just becomes a physiological habit.
So you stop memorizing a list and you start narrating your own physical reality. I love that so much. It turns your bathroom into a classroom.
It really does.
But eventually, the morning ends, the caffeine kicks in, the operating system finally loads, and the biological through line of our day shifts. We move out of the physical wake-up phase, and we hit the core block of our day, the midday grind.
The grind. And whether that is a corporate job or studying for a degree or managing a busy household, the linguistic needs shift entirely. Well, the morning lexicon was obsessed with the physical body, right? Waking up, washing, eating. The midday vocabulary abandons the body and becomes entirely obsessed with cognitive endurance, output, and managing pressure.
The survival phase of the day.
Essentially.
And the guide gives us these specific phrasal verbs to navigate this block. We have needing to get down to work, trying to stay on top of things, inevitably having to take a breather, and finally managing to wrap up.
The contrast drawn in the source here is incredibly revealing. These phrasal verbs do a magnificent job of highlighting the mechanism between a productive day and a boring or overwhelming day through spatial metaphors.
Spatial metaphors.
Yeah, think about it. If you are having a productive day, the language is physically elevated. You stay on top of things.
Oh, like playing a giant game of Tetris.
Exactly.
Staying on top of things means you are actively clearing the blocks as they fall. You are managing the cognitive load. But the moment you slip, the blocks stack up, the screen fills, and suddenly you are submerged.
You're drowning.
Right. You are drowning in tasks, which necessitates constantly needing to take a breather just to pause the game and get some oxygen.
That spatial relationship dictates the entire feeling of the workday. You are either above the wave or you are underwater.
Man, I feel that Tetris analogy in my bones on a busy Tuesday. But okay, I do want to push back and challenge one of the phrases the guide presents here.
Sure, go for it.
Getting down to work. The source presents it as this very professional, productive idiom, but let's be honest, isn't getting down to work just a socially acceptable, fancy way of admitting that you have been actively procrastinating all morning?
I mean,
Like you've been scrolling through your phone, drinking your coffee, and the guilt has finally forced you to open your laptop.
well, you could look at it as procrastination, sure.
Yeah.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the source actually defends this delay.
Wait, really? It defends procrastinating.
It argues that the hesitation before getting down to work isn't necessarily laziness, it's a necessary cognitive gathering of resources. The idiom honors the difficulty of task switching.
Oh, interesting. You are literally moving your brain from a state of rest or passive consumption to a state of high output.
Oh, that's fascinating. So the phrase actually gives you grace for the transition. You aren't just flipping a switch, you're maneuvering a heavy mental vehicle into gear.
Which is exactly why idioms and phrasal verbs are so essential for true fluency. They carry emotional weight and intention, not just literal robotic action.
Right?
If you just say, I started my tasks at 9 a.m., you are conveying raw data. You sound like a spreadsheet.
Very textbook.
But when you sigh, sit down and say, all right, I finally had to get down to work, you are conveying the human condition. You are expressing reluctance, effort, and eventual focus.
Yeah, that's so true.
This is what makes a non-native speaker suddenly sound incredibly fluent. They're not just transmitting facts anymore. They are transmitting the emotional texture of their day.
The emotional texture, I think that is the perfect way to describe it. And that texture undergoes another massive shift as we move out of the midday grind and into the evening.
The best part of the day. Because just as the language of the workday is all about building cognitive tension and maintaining action, the evening vocabulary is entirely about the physiological release of that tension.
The psychology of decompression.
Yes.
The evening pivot is crucial. And the guide provides a deliberate progression of phrases here. There's the intentional effort to wind down, the comforting, grounding act to cook from scratch, and the final ultimate surrender to hit the sack and catch some Z's.
I was so struck by the sensory imagery of these evening idioms. Think about hit the sack. That phrase carries so much physical weight.
But it really does.
It implies you are so exhausted that your legs are literally giving out and you are just dropping your body mass onto the mattress. Compare that to a textbook sentence like, I am going to sleep.
I'm going to sleep sounds like a polite appointment you made with your bed.
Exactly. But hitting the sack means you barely survived the day.
It is the verbalization of depletion. And similarly, look at cook from scratch. It implies a slow, intentional, therapeutic process. You aren't just throwing a frozen box in the microwave for sustenance.
Right.
You are chopping, you are stirring, you are actively reclaiming your time from the fast-paced midday grind.
Wait, so are you saying that if I just use a basic textbook adjective like, I am tired, I am essentially handing someone a blurry black and white photograph of my mode?
Yes.
But if I use a phrase like, I need to wind down and hit the sack, I am giving them a 4K high-definition video of my exact mental state.
That is the perfect way to frame it. Mastering these specific phrases helps you communicate your exact energy levels, which in turn helps you protect your boundaries.
Oh, that's a great point. Boundaries.
If a colleague asks about your evening plans and you say, I'm going to cook from scratch and wind down, you are communicating a desire for peace. You're placing a boundary around your personal time.
Right.
But if you say, I am going to grab a quick bite and hit the sack, you are signaling that you have absolutely nothing left in the tank. You are moving beyond basic adjectives and utilizing the language to manage your social interactions.
You are giving people the exact flavor of your exhaustion. Okay, so we've established this incredible timeline of vocabulary. We start with the physiological shock of the crack of dawn. We navigate the cognitive Tetris of getting down to work. And we end with the decompression of winding down.
A full day.
But knowing this timeline conceptually is only half the battle, isn't it? The source doesn't just leave us with a list. It provides two highly specific mechanical learning techniques for how to sound natural when actually using these phrases out loud.
Because knowing the words and physically producing them in a fluid conversation are two entirely different skills. The guide introduces two vital concepts for bridging that gap: shadowing and thinking in English.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's tackle shadowing first. The guide defines shadowing as the practice of listening to a native speaker and repeating immediately after them. And I mean immediately.
Almost simultaneously.
Right, you don't wait for them to finish a long paragraph. You're almost talking over them, matching their rhythm, their pitch, and their intonation perfectly, like an echo.
It is a phenomenal technique, and it is entirely necessary because of the underlying mechanics of English. You see, English is a stress-timed language.
Okay, I want to make sure we understand the mechanism there.
Yeah.
If my native language is, say, Spanish or Japanese, those are syllable-timed languages, right? It's like a metronome.
Exactly.
Every single syllable gets the exact same beat, the exact same amount of time. Tick, 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 tick.
Precisely. In syllable-timed languages, clarity comes from pronouncing every part of the word equally. But English does not work that way. English is stress-timed. Think of it more like a jazz drum beat.
A jazz drum beat, okay?
The time between the stressed words, the important words, is always the exact same, no matter how many unstressed, less important words are shoved between them.
So if I have to fit 5 small, unimportant words into the same musical beat as one big word, I have to speed up.
Yep.
That is why native English speakers swallow their vowels and blend words together. They are rushing to hit the next downbeat in the jazz rhythm.
That is the exact mechanism. You cannot learn that jazz rhythm from a textbook. If you try to apply a metronome rhythm to English, you will sound robotic no matter how perfect your grammar is.
Right.
You have to train the muscle memory in your jaw and your vocal cords to feel the music of the sentence. And shadowing forces your body to adopt that rhythm.
The music of the sentence. Okay, I want to put this into practice immediately.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this right now, wherever you are, we're going to try shadowing.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
I am going to deliver a clear, punchy sentence using the vocabulary we've covered today. Then we'll leave a 2-second pause. I want you to repeat it out loud exactly the way I say it. Do not pronounce every word perfectly. Swallow the vowels where I swallow them. Match my energy, match the rhythm.
Don't overthink it, just echo it.
Ready? Here we go. I hit the snooze button, but now I need to get down to work.
Go ahead, try it out loud. We'll give you a couple seconds here.
Yes. Spot on. Do you feel how get down to sort of melts together into one fluid sound? Get down to work. You rush through those middle words to hit the strong beat on work.
Doing that daily physically rewires your neurological pathways. You are bypassing the analytical, translating brain entirely and building acoustic muscle memory.
It's incredible.
Which brings us perfectly to the second and arguably the most profound technique in the guide, thinking in English.
Ah, yes. This is often described as the holy grail for language learners, the ultimate sign that you have made it.
It is the goal, sure, but this raises an important question. Why do we even translate in our heads to begin with?
Because it's a safety net.
Basically. When we are learning, the default mechanism is to hear an English word, map it to our mother tongue to comprehend it, formulate our reply in our mother tongue, and then painstakingly translate that reply back into English before finally speaking.
Oh man, it's like having a very slow, highly inefficient dictionary app running in the background of your brain, consuming all your processing power.
It creates a massive cognitive lag. It is the primary reason why non-native speakers often pause awkwardly in the middle of a flowing conversation. They are literally waiting for their internal translation process to complete.
Loading.
Exactly. The guide's advice is to entirely abandon that mental middleman.
But practically speaking, how on earth do you do that?
Yeah.
You can't just flip a neurological switch and demand that your inner voice speak a foreign language.
No, you do it by utilizing the very daily routines we have been dissecting today. You start incredibly small. You don't try to think about complex geopolitics or abstract art in English. You start by fusing the language directly to your physical routine. As you are sitting on the couch at night, feeling the exhaustion in your legs, you don't think of the translation for relax in your native language.
Right.
You actively force your inner monologue to say the English words, time to wind down. When you open your eyes in the morning and see the sun, your inner voice should immediately say, crack of dawn.
So you are labeling your environment and your physical actions directly in English. You are cutting the native language out of the loop entirely. The cold water on your face just is freshen up.
Fusing the English phrase directly to the sensory reality, over time, that forced inner monologue becomes your default automatic response. The cognitive lag disappears because there is nothing to translate. The language begins to flow at the speed of thought.
Wow. So what does this all mean? If we step back and look at the whole arc of what we've unpacked today, we've tracked the human experience from the crack of dawn to catching Z's.
A full rotation.
We've seen that the vocabulary of our day isn't just a list of arbitrary words. It's a reflection of our biology, our cognitive load, and our deep need to decompress. And we've discovered that true fluency, really moving past the textbook, means embracing active techniques like shadowing the jazz rhythm of English and ultimately evicting that internal translator so you can live directly within the language.
It represents a fundamental shift from merely studying a language to inhabiting a language. And for anyone out there navigating this process, feeling frustrated by the textbook phase, understand that the tools for true fluency are literally built into the architecture of your daily life.
They are all around you.
Every single morning is a fresh opportunity to practice. Every midday slump, every evening decompression, it is all a living laboratory.
You have the lab, you just have to turn the lights on. It takes patience. But the first time you catch yourself spontaneously thinking time to wrap up in English instead of your native tongue, that is a massive victory.
It's the best feeling. And I'll leave you with one final thought to chew on, building on this idea of the inner monologue.
Oh, lay it on us.
If anchoring our daily routines to new vocabulary helps us learn a language faster, does thinking in a new language eventually start to change the way we actually experience those routines?
Oh, wow.
Think about it. If your native language doesn't have a phrase with the exact emotional weight of getting down to work, or the specific comforting imagery of winding down, does adopting those English idioms actually change the way you perceive your own day?
It's strange to think about that the words we borrow to describe our downtime might actually end up rewiring the way we experience rest. That is a lot to chew on.
Always is.
Remember, you're not just a broken machine when you wake up tired. Your operating system is just loading. Keep shadowing, keep narrating your day, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.